succeeded in your first mission. You tracked down Daragast and returned to the Resistance headquarters. After coming back, you enjoyed some well-deserved time off. Now, both you and Raymond are eagerly awaiting for the warrior bard's arrival. Finally, on a sunny morning, Daragast reaches the village. You can't take your eyes off of him. Despite being a middle-aged man, you find him charming, and his clothes still reveal a toned body ready for action. You decide to make the first move. About time you got here.
Had any doubts?
He replies, half smiling. No, and neither did Raymond.
Good. Would you take me to him?
Of course. You smile back at him, but Daragast evokes conflicting emotions within you. While his presence is reassuring, you can feel how dangerous he could be. Part of you has trouble being at ease around him. You escort Daragast to the largest tent in the village. Inside, a handful of men whisper as they study a map laid out upon the table. As you step in, one of them raises his head, crossing his gaze with the bard.
Raymond,
says Daragast, bowing.
Daragast.
It's the only word he says, and he lets it out as a sigh. You two must have many things to discuss. It would be better leaving you alone. You take your leave as a sign of respect. A nod from the wizard dismisses all the other men who follow you outside. Nobody leaves the surroundings, though. Raymond will be calling for you shortly. Many crucial decisions are to be made, and you will need to be there. As expected, Raymond summons you shortly after. You don't all go back inside. Just 2 wizards, a warrior, and yourself. You are the Resistance's advisors, and as such, take part in every meeting. As you sit, Raymond starts talking with the authority he deserves, directly addressing Daragast.
We need your help. Your presence here restores our souls, but it's not just that. You could help us find new allies to plan an offensive strike against Leon. Your opinion and your support are pivotal to us.
Raymond is desperate. He has no idea how to proceed. He can't figure out how to stop his former student.
you're talking to a man who can't do anything more than brandish a rapier against common enemies. Ghosts of the past are a completely different story. That sylph Ancorin is really good. She could certainly do better than me.
Your reaction to the unexpected praise is an ill-concealed sneer.
Ancorin's abilities indeed make her a precious asset, but in a different way. Each one of us is essential to the cause. As you accepted our summons, well, I believe you might want to help us.
Raymond replies.
Of course. Choosing where to start from is a challenge. Only 3 people might help us. An assassin, a bard, and a former outlaw. You already know 2 of them.
We'll need the help and experience of all 3.
The wizard replies.
Perfect. I'll leave first thing tomorrow morning.
It looks like the time has already come for Daragast, your new ally, to make some choices that will impact the Resistance's future. You could potentially intervene to try and find out a bit more about the 3 men the bard will try to recruit.
The bard's name is Balgor Oriar. He is a Taboshi who can gather information in unusual places, often with equally unlikely methods. He travels the world on behalf of his sovereign. The assassin is Ulist Orantor, a dear friend of mine. We were both mercenaries, and he was with me when I fought Triumvar Lotanor. We protected Leon together. And as for the outlaw, I'm actually surprised he hasn't already joined your cause. His name is Karkas. He's a big guy and a natural-born fighter, maybe even one of the best in the whole world.
None of these names mean anything to you. You'd like to help Daragast make his decision, but because you can't be of any assistance to him, you wait for him to decide on his own, instead of unhelpfully stepping in. I met him in Akhma. He's the one who told me where I could find you.
Where did you see him?
Daragast asks you, surprised. In Akhma's jail, he was playing a beautiful silver lyre. As you mention the instrument, the bard's face lights up.
It's been several days. Do you know how he ended up in there?
He asks, worried. I have no idea, but he was quite calm. I don't think it was anything serious. Daragast is worried for his friend, and you try to reassure him, lightening the mood.
I hope not.
Daragast sighs.
I'll leave tomorrow. I just need a good horse and some food for the journey.
You'll also get something else.
Raymond adds, after silently watching your exchange. As he catches everyone's attention, you wonder what he has in store. Raymond heads to a large wooden ottoman you hadn't noticed. Carefully, he takes a key hanging from his neck that had been hidden under his clothes. He turns it in the lock and opens the lid. From within, he takes a bundle of rolled fabric, long and thin. Raymond lays the package on the table. Everyone's eyes are attracted to it, even those who just stand there without saying a word.
It looks like a sword.
Whispers the warrior.
How insightful!
Replies one of the wizards caustically. You let the three taunt each other. They're just innocent jibes. However, as Raymond unties the bundle, a beautiful rapier is revealed, and everyone goes silent. 4 differently colored gems decorate the hilt. The first one is brown, representing the power of earth. The others are red, for fire, blue, recalling the strength of water, and finally, a colorless jewel embodies the power of air. The 4 magic stones protect the sword's bearer, but they may do much more. You've heard of the rapier many times, but you never thought you'd see it with your own 2 eyes.
The Sword of Ruin.
Daragast murmurs.
Precisely.
Replies Raymond. Everyone is quiet, dumbfounded, even daunted. You can't speak either. Your tongue feels as if it's stuck to your palate. That weapon could be extremely dangerous in the wrong hands, and you had no idea Raymond had it. He's entrusting it to Daragast, and you wonder how it could play out.
How did you get it?
Questions the bard.
I seized it after the destruction of the Tower of Balinor. It's a long story, and there's no time now. Just know that I got lucky, and that this is our only hope against Leon. Today, like many years ago, it's up to you to carry it.
Daragast reaches out with a hand, accepting the rapier, and straps it to his side. The meeting proceeds, and you update the newest member on the Resistance's situation. Finally, as everyone is leaving, you offer to take Daragast to his tent. You've been attracted to him since your first encounter, which is something you've never experienced before. You don't care that he's not in his prime. He's fascinating, and his experience is as precious as youth. You're torn. You'd like to be bold, but you're afraid to get burnt by a man who is just about to leave. You must be tired. You'll want to rest a bit. You test your ground, waiting for his reaction.
Yes, I wouldn't mind resting for a while. I'm leaving early tomorrow, and I need to get my strength back.
Good night, then. You smile and take your leave. You wake up later than usual and get ready for a new day. The village is bustling with activity, everyone doing his or her part. Daragast has left, and you sincerely hope he will succeed in his mission. You go to see Raymond, expecting to be assigned a new task. Now that the situation is moving along, you don't want to be left sitting on your hands. Raymond is alone, studying a map on the table.
Finally, I was waiting for you.
He starts, smiling at you. Sorry, I was more tired than I thought.
Not a problem. Come, I have an important assignment for you. You'll have to choose our first move. We need allies. We won't win this war on our own. Close to the Amarantar border, to the southeast, some new creatures have founded their colonies. They fled there after our deplorable experiments at Balinor. Northeast, on the other hand, close to the Tibosh border, you'll find a sylph dwelling. I need one of them to embrace our cause. You'll have to come back with a new alliance.
Why not both?
I doubt we'll have the time.
You have made up your mind and gather some supplies right away. You choose a fast horse and grab your trusty bow, a knife, and a short sword and leave immediately. You try to avoid the bigger cities, but the road takes you back to your past. Avoiding the places where you grew up proves impossible. It's almost evening, and even though your destination is close by, you stop at a remote village. Some extra information could come in handy. As you enter an inn, the bystanders are strangely not surprised by a creature such as yourself. The Sylph colony must be close by, that's probably why they're so tolerant. Sitting at the bar, you order a drink and are approached by a man. He stares at you, slack-jawed, and you recognize him. Mifford, what are you doing here? You cry out in surprise.
And Corin!
You hug as all the other customers go on about their business. You're both happy to meet again. You were childhood friends, but whereas he's still a human, your fate was different.
I'm heading to Faust. I need to get my daughter back.
Mifford tells you. You cloud. A daughter? You didn't realize so much time has gone by. Why? Is she staying with her mother?
If only. A group of Tiboshi Ravagers came by our village and destroyed it. They took all our children and killed all the elders, as well as the few men who weren't too far off in the woods working. It was a sudden attack, even though the women might think otherwise.
Mifford falls silent and lowers his head, and begins to sob frantically. You avoid further questions. Even though you are extremely sorry for your friend, you have an urgent task at hand. Mifford didn't ask for anything. Helping him or not is up to you. I'll come with you. We'll take your daughter back. His desperation turns into hope.
You would?
You nod and look straight into his eyes.
Thank you, Ancorin.
Did you come alone? You ask. He shakes his head and points at a table with 4 men.
They are with me.
Good. You smile, though there's no happiness on your face. You look like a nice team. Now time is of the essence. Why are you sure they're headed to Faust?
That's where they mine the metals they use to make their weapons.
Mifford is right. He introduces you to the other men, and you get acquainted with them. You talk with Mifford's friends and decide to leave immediately to exploit the element of surprise through the darkness. The 4 comrades have no problem relating with you. They accept your help, no questions asked. All of them have lost their wives and children. The Ravagers are way ahead, and Faust is still a whole day's walk away. You think the Tiboshi might have made camp and you could attack in the night. You're all tired, but the love for the people who've been taken and the longing for justice are great incentives. Moving towards Faust after a couple of hours walking, you see a glimmer in the distance. It's a campfire. You strain your ears to listen in. Some men are shouting. There might be some guards, but you doubt they're too cautious. The coarse camp highlights a cocky attitude. The situation could be solved quickly, but you need to choose wisely. Your partners don't have any tactical experience, while you've already been on several missions. You need to assess several factors. It is night, and the only light source is the Tiboshi campfire, thanks to which you are able to distinguish several profiles. The prisoners should also be there, but they may have already been put to sleep or tied away from the fire. You need to be shrewd and resolute. You stop to consider the options.
Let's charge those bastards and kill them all. We got horses. We have the upper hand.
The others seem to agree, but they're waiting for your decision. They trust you and won't make a move without your order. You have a huge responsibility. The lives of innocent children depend on you. We can't charge. The children would die. Wait here. I'll go alone. Trust me. Your comrades exchange some uncertain glances, talking to each other. They'd like to help with the rescue. You understand how they're feeling, but manage to convince them that it'd be easier to go unnoticed if you move alone. You move in, as your ranger instinct suggests. Using darkness to your advantage, you stealthily approach the camp, walking around the Ravagers unnoticed, rather than going straight for them. You'll unsheath your knife at the last possible moment. The fire's light might reflect on the blade, giving away your presence. As you get close enough, you act. There are 5 men around the fire, and many bundles of blankets. The children are sleeping. It's your moment. You unsheath your knife and jump on the Tiboshi like a hurricane. You cut the throat of the first two without them even noticing. Blood spurts everywhere as the other three try to stand up. You kick the closest one in the face, throwing him to the ground before he can grab his weapon. Meanwhile, you punch another straight to the groin. The last man standing tries to flee, but you hurl your knife, which lands straight between his shoulder blades. The noise wakes up the children. Still dizzy with sleep, they shake as they see all the blood in addition to a green-skinned sylph. However, the parents soon run to them, and you enjoy the show. Happiness is on everyone's face as they hug their children. You bury the bodies and rest before the morn, when you'll part your ways. You've been traveling for a while now. The sun is already high in the sky, and there's a lot of road behind you. Your destination is straight ahead, and you gather your energy to complete the mission. You may be a sylph, but your feminine side isn't resting. Strength, frailty, determination, and peril, they all dwell within you. You don't know what to expect, but you must find the allies you're looking for, and you'll have to make a decision based on the situations that will arise. You sigh, and move forward on your steed. A clearing opens in front of you. Your next step will lead to a life filled with surprises, joys, and hardships. Your journey continues with one goal: to track down the sylph community Raymond told you about. You proceed for about a half a day until an arch of wooded hills appears on the horizon. A stream runs along the soft slopes, and you figure it could be the right place for the settlement you're looking for. You proceed with caution, keeping your eyes wide open. Catching a glimpse of something moving along the vegetation, you figure you're not alone. A troop of sentries reveals themselves from the trees, keeping you in their crosshairs. You raise your hands. Their skin is as green as yours. An unarmed sylph approaches you. They outnumber you and have no reason to feel threatened.
Who are you?
I'm Ancorin. I come in peace.
You're a bit too armed to come in peace. What do you want?
I'm an envoy for the Resistance. We need your help. Your questioner snorts and curses.
The Resistance is led by a wizard, and we don't like wizards. Why did you get involved?
Many new races joined the Resistance to oppose Leon's advance. Please, we need you. The sylph carefully weighs your words.
I'll give you the benefit of the doubt.
The troop escorts you to their camp, built around a clearing in the middle of the forest. The whole community gathers there, living in huts built on trees. They are all women. After all, your race can't reproduce as it's exclusively made up of women. The sylphs have some doubts about you, but they welcome their kin. The woman who brought you there speaks to two elder women, who you suppose are the leaders of the community.
My name is Jamalin. I am the military commander. I present to you our sages, Adelina and Kalina. They're our guides. They've been waiting for your arrival. Our future and that of the whole world will depend on their decision. However, you must answer a question first. If you get it wrong, you'll go to the realm of the dead.
The events have taken an unfortunate turn. You need to get out of this. Is it the only way? I haven't come with hostile intentions.
It doesn't matter. If you'll show us your wits, you'll earn our trust. If you refuse to answer the question, you'll die. If you answer incorrectly, you'll die. This is how we decide who's worthy of our trust. This is how the wizards created us. We make no exceptions.
Raymond put you in one of the toughest positions of your life, but you need to withstand the clan's rules if you want to achieve your mission. All right then. Ask away. One of the elders steps up. Her skin looks like that of a 30-year-old woman, yet she's considered a veteran. Time goes by faster for new races. Your life expectancy is much shorter. I am Atalina, and this is my question. My life can last but a few hours. I am devoured by fruit. Thin, I'm fast. Thick, I'm slow. And wind doth scare me. Who am I? Answer or die? You pick at your brain, but only a few answers come to mind. Still, you need to give it a shot. That is correct, child. Adelina sentences, smiling. So, now we decide who shall follow you. However, we must first ask you something else. I hope my life isn't on the line again, you reply, piqued. No, but what will reveal to you concerns your life and your past. Choosing the path to take will then be up to you. So be it. It's the other sylph's turn. She looks deep in your eyes. Like Adelina, she's young as well. Will you feel as old when you're 30?
I am Kalina, and this is my question. My father sings. My mother stutters. My cloth is white. My heart's of gold. Who am I? Answer, and I shall reveal to you the secrets of your past. That is correct, child,
says Kalina, smiling. What do you know of my past? You can hardly wait any longer.
All in good time. Now follow Jamalin. She'll take you to your lodging. Rest. We'll talk tomorrow.
Complaining won't help. You follow the sylph who assigns you a hut. You don't know how to behave. You've lived among men while these creatures hid from the world, making one of their own. You hope tomorrow may bring good news. You wake up late in the morning, but nobody came in to wake you. You rested well on the hay bed. The small hut hugs the trunk of an old oak tree. You have a bucket of water to wash and a clean change of clothes. You get ready, taking advantage of the hospitality you've been shown. When you leave the hut, you notice the two elders standing at the center of the clearing. It looks like they're waiting for you. This whole situation is strange and somewhat exciting. It's almost as if you feel at home. You approach them to greet them.
Good day, child. Are you ready?
Kalina smiles, greeting you. Yes, you answer, determined.
As you know, we sylphs aren't part of the natural world. We've been created through magic. Horrifying experiments have violated our bodies. Many of us were but children. Raymond, the highest wizard of Balinor, allowed it. He didn't expect his adepts to abuse their powers. He banned and put an end to the experiments as soon as he found out, but it was too late. His ward, Leon Munar, turned his back on him and looked for all the wizards who had sullied themselves with such heinous crimes. An irreconcilable fracture split them apart because of this, and Leon was banished. Leon left the Tower of Balinor, but he understood he could never destroy everyone responsible for these horrors. However, he became enthralled with the idea of establishing his dominion over Kael'Sanar and taking back his birthland. So he undertook a path of magical research. Everyone fears him, but is he really so evil? Are his goals really so mad? Or would he just want to establish order and justice?
These revelations astound you. You wonder how the sylphs could know this background, and whether they're trying to manipulate you. You can't fathom how Raymond would want to recruit them at the risk of revealing such compromising facts. Questions keep rushing through your head. We believe that, at first, Leon's goals were honorable and honest. However, he's gotten lost. Partly his aims have changed. As sylphs, we believe justice must be served. We are looking for all the outcast wizards, to kill them and bring order back to this world. Adelina continues. You ponder on what you've just heard, but you have your doubts. How do you know who they are? Adelina smiles at you disarmingly. The answer is that obvious. The only innocent wizards are with Raymond, in the Resistance. All the others have either died or are on the run. In any case, the highest wizard marked them before they were banished. Their mark is unmistakable. They have 6 diagonal slashes on their cheeks, 3 on each side. Besides, Raymond had made a list of their names, which we now have. We only need 4 more to finish. You have 1,000 questions you'd like to ask, but Adelina doesn't give you the chance. Now, will you join us to hunt down these depraved wizards, or would you rather keep helping the resistance against Leon? You feel overwhelmed. The Sylphs offered you so much information, but still they haven't told you anything about your past. I'm a Sylph too, but how does this have anything to do with me?
One of the 4 banished wizards is the one who created you.
Kalina replies, your choice is harder than ever. I can't abandon Raymond. Stopping Leon is more important than some personal issue.
We accept your decision,
Says Kalina. This is why Jimalin will come with you. She'll take you to the other villages known to us only, where you'll have good chances to recruit troops of Sylphs. Then, you'll come back here, and together with this community's garrison, you'll leave for Ismarin. You'll join Raymond's troops. You will have to face an enemy which threatens all the Sylphs. Adelina tells you, what are you going to do about the banished wizards? The issue is still quite dear to you. Others will take on the task. For the time being, focus on your own and fight with honor. I will, to my last breath. You take your leave as Jimalin approaches you with 2 saddled horses.
I'm ready to leave.
She tells you. You nod and give a hint of a smile, but she doesn't return it. She isn't too fond of you, but she'll obey the 2 elders. Jimalin leads ahead of you, guiding you to the next Sylph village. You've been on the road for about a day, barely exchanging words. Jimalin is not very talkative. You weren't hoping to find a friend, but she's way too distrustful. At night, you camp near some trees. You light a fire and eat a broth of savory herbs. It's not a lavish meal, but at least it's warm, and it will do. Suddenly, a roar shakes the night. You both exchange an alarmed glance and grab your bows and arrows. A huge mountain lion appears in front of you. It's starving, and it was lured here by your dinner's scent. The beast studies you and roars its thunderous growl once more. Your partner seems undecided on what she should do, but you can't hesitate for long. The animal must be attacked or driven away. You put the arrow's tip close to the fire until the wood lights up. Even though this isn't the best way to make a burning arrow, the device works, and you let the bolt fly between the mountain lion's paws. The animal jumps back and roars, irritated. Jimalin follows your example instantly, and the mountain lion runs away into the night.
Great move,
Says Jimalin, congratulating you. I didn't want to kill it.
Want to make a shift schedule for the night?
Sure, but let's trace the perimeter with our torches first, so the predators won't bother us anymore. Finally, Jimalin spoke to you, and even smiled. Your suggestion is welcomed, and you both sleep a quiet night. You reach a forest where another Sylph tribe dwells. Dismounting your horses, Jimalin whistles oddly, calling for your kin. They welcome you, smiling and hugging Jimalin, and interested in you.
This is Ancorin. She's looking for allies against Leon Munar.
Explains your traveling companion. You know she will have to withstand the Elder's trials, replies another Sylph. You believe she is Jimalin's counterpart for this tribe. What do these trials entail, you ask? Come with us, and you'll find out. Without another word, you follow the explorers to a village much like Jimalin's.
I'm Damalina, the guide of this community. And you are?
You're asked by the only elder. She's kind, and so beautiful she'd make many men's heads spin. My name is Ancoran. I'm here to ask for your help for the resistance against Leon.
I take it she already passed your test, since you're here too?
She asks Jimalin.
Yes, Damalina.
She replies.
Very well, but now you shall pass ours.
The elder adds, turning back to you. What are they?
First, we'll eat. Then we shall begin.
You're brought food and beverages as the sylphs try to put you at ease. The dishes are filled with fruits from the earth, vegetables and potatoes. You finally find some peace after the long journey. Then, Damalina sits at your side.
To have our support, you must pass 3 trials. The first is to kill one of the chickens in our hen house. You shall pluck it and cook it.
You're puzzled. It seems too easy. I won't take another being's life just to eat it. Damalina smiles and stands up.
Follow me.
You passed the first test. Sylphs are clever creatures. To grant someone their trust, they first push the other to use their brain, rather than their muscles. Besides, the Resistance's mission is to save lives, and Damalina wants to ensure this is your goal as well. You stop in front of a garden. Inside, you see marvelous flowers, pink with large petals. A few moments later, a bee lands on one. Suddenly, the petals close shut, trapping the insect.
Did you see that flower? It's a carnivorous plant, and it just killed a bee. We breed bees for honey, just like we breed chickens for eggs. The flower must be eradicated.
Should you behave like you did before, or should you obey this order? I won't cut down the flower. It's a part of this world just like the bees and the chickens. It caught the bee for sustenance. It's not murder. It's survival. It reflects the natural order of things. Damalina smiles proudly and resumes her walk. You end up in a training area. At its center, you see a sylph wielding a sword. Jimalin and other tribe members are also there. Damalina hands you a sword to fight.
Now, let's see if you're worthy of guiding us in battle.
You take a defensive stance and wait for your opponent to move. She's a good fighter, but you can take her. You exchange several blows and jabs, feigning some attacks and parrying some others. The fight runs longer than expected, until you knock her to the ground and disarm her. You point your sword at her throat.
End her!
Damalina screams. I won't kill her. I already defeated her and showed you my valor. I'm willing to fight by your side, if you will follow me. Will you? Damalina replies to you with a wide smile as the other sylphs who were watching the duel scream out their approval.
I am proud to follow you, Ancoran. We will help you against Leon. Tell us what we should do.
Please, let us rest for the night. Jimalin and I will resume our journey tomorrow. You will all wait for us at her village. We will be back in a few days, and then we shall move for Ismarin.
So be it.
You won the favor of new allies, and your heart is jubilant. You and Jimalin have finally reached a new sylph community. The welcome you receive is the same you've gotten used to by now. All these villages are very similar, and you're not surprised by any of it anymore. The greeting ritual is more or less always the same. You're announced, asked to explain why you're there, and then must undergo some exams. You meet Haka, this community's leader, who explains to you what you'll have to do. Child, you must pass a test on the elements of nature. Succeed, and you'll secure our help. I'm ready. You sigh. You're taken to the entrance of a cave, and Haka explains your task. Inside the tunnels, you'll have to go through a door. Then, you must solve a riddle, after which you shall find another passage to another door. Go through that, and we'll know you're worthy of being followed. You're not too clear on what you're going to have to do, but there's no other way to get the help you'll need. I'll see you later then, you reply, smiling. Good luck, child. Haka dismisses you. You proceed along the cave's tunnel until you reach a door with 4 animals etched on it, symbolizing the 4 elements: dragon, eagle, scorpion, and polar bear. You open the door to find a floor with colored tiles, each with the same portrait of the animal on the door. Beyond the tiled floor is another closed door with an inscription burned within a circle. In Mother's Circle, Alpha returns to Omega and order is restored. The flame breather dominates the feathered peregrine in flight, towering over it in the air with its fiery breath. The sharpest eye wins against the poisonous one with its sharp beak. The stinging purple poisons the blood of the snowy fir, whose frost flakes extinguish the rage of the flaming winged beast. The sound of screeching teeth. But Mother can play games. The order is reversed, and the Alpha won't meet the Omega. The circle is lost in the chaos of creation. That's your test. Now, it's up to you to take the right path. But you have no idea of what might happen if you get it wrong. The first thing that comes to mind is whoever prepared such an enigma is bound to the 4 elements. You know that in the past, besides Leon, there were only 3 other wizards who could control all the elements. But you can't figure out who could have tried to create such a mystery. You need to think carefully, considering the right tiles on which to step. You keep looking at the floor in front of you. What road should you take? What tile should you lay your foot on? The door on the other side is your destination. Your reasoning is working out. You understood that since nature can play games, the natural order is reversed. Starting from the polar bear, you now need to continue, keeping a clear head, and step on the next tile. You're continuing along the right sequence. 2 more steps and you'll have figured out how to reach the door on the other side. You have only 2 choices left, and the next one seems obvious now. You were afraid at every single step, but you perfectly figured out the riddle, identifying the animals representing each element and placing them in the correct order, then reversing it as suggested by the enigma, which talks of a capricious nature that should, however, still be respected. You take your last step on the tile with the dragon, and then keep going forward according to the sequence until you reach the door. You grab the door knockers and push with all you've got. You were expecting sunlight, but are welcomed by torches lighting the starless darkness. Haka approaches you, smiling. Good job, my dear. We shall help you. You just achieved another great deed. Now, you need one last effort to bring everyone to Raymond. You and Jimalin have reached a new Sylph community. The reception you get is more or less always the same. The Sylph clans are all very similar, and you're getting used to their way of life. As usual, you introduce yourself to Relina, the clan's guide. You present her with your mission and undergo the trials.
This trial is about inner strength. If you succeed, we shall help you.
I'm ready. Both of you sit at the center of a wide stone circle, adorned with scented candles. The aroma in the air is inebriating, and it tickles your nostrils. You close your eyes as Relina pronounces some arcane words. She might be a wizard or a clairvoyant, but you soon lose consciousness. Your doubts will have to wait. In a trance, you fly into a world that isn't yours. You float in the dark until you find yourself lying on a grass field. The sky is clear, and a tree shelters you from the light with its leafy branches. It's a mighty ash tree with roots deep underground. You can sense that it's ancient, and you're awed by its presence. A stream runs close by, and an old man with an eye patch is lighting a campfire.
Welcome, Ankoran.
Thank you. Who are you?
My name is Igor. I am the keeper of the tree.
The man has a regal posture, which demands respect.
Sit with me.
He's intriguing, and he doesn't look so old after all. You accept his invitation together with a glass of wine and some food, both of which just appear out of thin air.
Everything is possible here.
He continues, reading the unspoken question on your face. Where are we?
Where everything started and where everything must end.
He replies, pointing at the tree. You take a better look at the plant. Many different species are sheltered on its branches, oddly peeking out. A golden eagle sits perched near the top of the tree, next to a falcon, which continually shifts its gaze, as if on the lookout for something. 4 deer trot around its trunk, stretching out their necks every once in a while to bite at some leaves. Only now are you beginning to notice the snakes. Their heads turned up, they hiss at the eagle as they writhe sinuously around the roots. You even spot a nice squirrel running up and down along the trunk, as if it were a messenger from the eagle and the snakes. Finally, on the top of the ash tree, stands a golden rooster,
I need you to do me a favor.
says Igor, distracting you from the view. What?
You need to retrieve an object. It's in the frozen cave behind you.
Suddenly, the cave appears. What is it?
It's a crystal sphere. Unfortunately, I cannot go inside. The Guardian would devour me.
And you'd like me to go?
It's the only way you can help me. And the only way to get back to your dear selves.
You shake your head and accept.
Very well, Ankoran. Take this torch.
Igor smiles and hands you a staff, which immediately lights up as if it were magical. Entering the cave, you try to anticipate what you'll be facing. The walls are smooth, as if the cave were made by humans. The tunnels lead down along steep slopes, and you can't see their end. As you continue your descent, the temperature drops. You proceed until you finally find a door adorned by a symbol, a tree with many branches and 9 roots. It's the same as the one you saw outside, and you recognize it as the Tree of Life. You open the door, and another world is revealed to you on the other side. It's frozen, with stalactites and stalagmites everywhere. It's extremely cold, but you're trained to bear it. You proceed with caution, examining the area. At the end of the hall, there's a pedestal holding a sphere. There's no trace of the Guardian, which arouses your suspicions. Suddenly, you freeze. A huge wolf with red fur growls menacingly. It's not a common animal. You need to face it, but you'd have to lay down your torch to wield your bow. Otherwise, you'd have to unsheath your short sword. It was a wise choice. Laying down the torch would have been fatal. If it had gone out, you'd have been in the dark, with no way to face the creature. This animal was definitely created by magic, and you can't underestimate it. You have a precise task, but the fiend is in a defensive stance. It looks fierce. Should you attack it, or try to tame it? The wolf doesn't want to attack you. It's just protecting the sphere from thieves. You lay down your weapon and extend your open palm to the beast. The creature stops growling and comes one step closer to smell your hand. Now that it's vulnerable, you could hit the animal and retrieve the artifact. But the creature lowered its guard, as it doesn't see you as a threat anymore. What should you do? Attacking it doesn't make sense anymore. It's a smart creature, and you gained its trust. This might be the key to achieving your purpose. I don't know if you can understand me, but I need that object. I need it for protection from an evil wizard. The wolf tilts its head and whines. It enjoys your cuddles and purrs almost like a cat. May I take it? The fiend steps aside. You approach the pedestal and grab the sphere. You can see your reflection on it, but there's more. A glare lights up. The wolf suddenly catches fire, and the flames fly towards you in a second. There's no dodging them. However, something unexpected happens. The flames flow into the sphere, gathering completely within. The guardian wolf allowed you to take the sphere, but it won't just leave it. You trace back the path you came in from and leave the cave. The world is dark now, but Igor is there, waiting for you.
You did it, child.
He invites you to sit once more, and you hand over the sphere. He grabs it greedily, and a glint flashes through his eyes. Now, will you provide me the help I need? You ask him.
I won't be the one to answer.
Igor waves his hand at you, and suddenly, you wake up. Ralina is holding the sphere you had given the man.
Congratulations, Ankoran. You're worthy of our trust. We'll follow you and fight by your side against Leon Munar.
You succeeded in all your missions. Now you need to go back to Ismarin, together with your sylph legions. As you enter the Ismarin forest with the sylphs, your nostrils are alarmed by the stench of smoke, and you see the trees are covered in ashes. Something terrible must have happened. This wasn't just a simple fire. As your heart pounds strongly in your chest, you head to the center of the forest, where the rebels' headquarters is supposed to be, followed by your partners. Finally, you reach the village, but something's off. You see an elf at the center of the clearing, talking with 3 men. Who are these people? They notice you, and the other sylphs right away. You nod at your followers to stop, and stay vigilant. And you are? You ask, carefully. The elf steps forward.
My name is Palisar, and these men with me are waiting for our common friend, Daragast.
1,000 questions rush through your mind. You'd like to go in order, but it's hard. You would like to know where Daragast is, what happened, and why Raymond isn't here. Where is Daragast? You ask frantically. Last you knew, he was supposed to go seek Ball, Ulist, and Carcass, whom you presume are these 3 people. So he must have achieved his task, but why isn't he with them?
We don't know, but he should be here shortly.
Says the biggest of the 3. You must be Carcass, you respond, already sure of the answer. Judging from Raymond's description, he must be the giant of the arenas. The man nods positively, then waves a hand at the others.
These are Balgo Oriar and Ulist Orontor. Daragast came to find us, and we've come to help with the resistance. He said he had a few things to attend to before heading back. He's an odd, solitary man. When we got here, we found this disaster. Meanwhile, we met Palisar, and he told us what had happened.
You shift your eyes on the elf and question him. Could you bring me up to speed as well?
Certainly. We were attacked by Leon, and Raymond led us out of the forest to save as many people as possible. We headed to Satrapur and started planning our defenses. Leon won't be hiding too long anymore. Soon he'll attack with his army, and we must be ready to welcome him.
He's already pushing so far south? You ask, sorrowfully.
Yes, and wreaking death and destruction along the way.
So, Raymond's in Satrapur? Palisar lowers his gaze with a bitter expression.
Raymond appointed me to lead the resistance in Satrapur. He was to come back here and wait for you. Unfortunately, things didn't go as planned. He was murdered as he was coming back. So I'm carrying through with his mission and left one of my most trusted men in charge of the city. Now we just have to wait for Daragast. If he's alive, he should be here shortly. If he isn't, we'll leave to plan our defense.
So be it then. You accept the explanation, somewhat bitterly and shocked. Raymond's death is a bad blow to everyone.
Who is them?
Ball asks. Raymond sent me looking for other sylphs to make an alliance with them so they could help us in battle.
They're definitely gonna help.
Ulist replies. You find a lodging to freshen up and rest after the long, hard trip. And you hope Daragast gets here fast. You hate waiting. After a couple of days, you're woken on a sunny morning by the voices of 4 men and an unmistakable 5th. Finally, it's Daragast. You quickly leave your tent to take a look at him. Wearing your best smile, you approach the newcomer. Finally, we were only waiting for you, deadbeat.
I'm glad to see you too, Ancorin.
He replies. A few coughs break the moment, and you turn to the others. Ulist, Ball, and Carcass are trying to get your attention. Palisar quickly catches Daragast up on the current situation. He looks more worried than you did, and asks 1,000 questions. Finally, you decide to leave for Satrapur as soon as Daragast rests a bit. There have been many blows for the resistance lately, and you have a lot to deal with. Upon reaching Satrapur, you find out all the other wizards of the resistance are dead too. The situation is dire. Daragast's sword is the last magical defense against Leon. You nostalgically think back to Raymond and the hopes he had for you. But you're not a leader, and you think Palisar will be a worthy successor. Everyone is, in their own way, trying to keep up the rebels' morale. Timos is trying harder than anyone. He's a tall, massive man and a skilled strategist. He's tight with Palisar. You, Ulist, Bal, Carcass, and Daragast all swear loyalty to the cause, inspiring everyone's awe. However, you would like to understand how Raymond died. You ask around, starting a small investigation, until you're approached by a boy as you're talking to a few of his friends.
Hello, Aunt Corin.
What's your name?
Phil.
He replies, blushing. He looks torn, but since he's shy, you'll have to strike the right chord. Come, sit with us. The boy gladly accepts, and also takes the beer stein you've offered him.
So, what is it, boy?
Harkus asks, convivial as usual.
I heard you're looking for Raymond's assassin.
You all look at each other silently.
Talk, Phil.
Ulyst urges him on.
I'm scared.
Don't worry. You're safe with us.
Ball adds. The boy musters up some courage and spills the beans.
The other night, I heard Timos talking to someone. I couldn't recognize him, but he was boasting about how he killed the wizards. He said the resistance is reaching its true goal. How only Leon is left.
Are you sure that's what you heard? You ask, shocked. He nods firmly, even though he's afraid and nervous.
Could it be Palisar, the man he was talking to?
Ulyst asks.
No, I know his voice. But he might be involved, since they're friends.
Phil answers. Go now, boy. Don't mention this to anyone. You tell him, looking him straight in the eyes. The boy leaves, disappearing in the night lights.
What do we do?
Ball asks.
Phil has no reason to lie. Let's go get Timos.
Declares Daragast, and you agree.
Let's wait for the dead of night first.
Ulyst proposes. You're the assassin. We need him to answer our questions before we kill him. You all agree and wait for darkness to shroud you. Finally, you sneak out of your lodging. Ulyst shuts his mouth closed and holds a knife against his throat. Harkus points his sword at him, and you, Daragast, and Ball tower over him.
Hello, Timos. If you don't answer our questions, Ball will make you suffer like hell.
The man opens his eyes wide and fails to hold his bladder for the terror. You sign at Ulyst, and he lets the man's mouth go. What's your first question? Did you kill Raymond?
No!
See, I don't believe you. Try and be more talkative. You nod at Ball, and he unsheathes a knife, cutting out a finger from the man's hand. Ulyst stops the man's mouth again, choking back a scream. Timos understands you're not playing games. You can keep interrogating him. Who did it? Suddenly, a black, square-bladed dagger slits his throat, and the words die in his mouth. There's a hole in the tent, and you all run outside. The situation is escalating. You quickly run out of the tent, and 2 more darts jolt towards you. Your friends are held back, and you find yourself alone, staring into Palisar's eyes.
You should have minded your business,
Says the elf. You shouldn't have killed Raymond, you reply. Before he prepares another dart, you have to attack. You also hear footsteps behind you, and you understand Palisar isn't alone. Your friends are already busy fighting someone else. Since they were held back, you're going to have to take this fight alone, ending it as swiftly as possible. You move forward, unsheathing both your sword and your dagger, and the elf mirrors you. The dim light is enough to steady the opponent. Palisar is in a defensive stance, barely exposing his left leg. You should figure out how to best attack. Maybe you could try to open his defense, stabbing at him. Or you could try to bind him to disarm him. Or, finally, you could try a direct blow to his front leg. You stab at the elf with your left hand, keeping your right arm in guard to parry an eventual counterattack, which arrives promptly.
Palisar is a fearsome foe, and breaking his guard won't be easy. He parried your attack with a smooth movement of his dagger, unleashing a swift slash at you. You have to block it. But how? Should you take an ox defense stance, lifting your sword horizontally above your head? Or a two-horned guard stance, keeping the blade vertical, as if you were a unicorn? It's really the only viable option. You parry the blow and carry on your attack. Now, should you try a middle blow to the side, or a cutting slash? A good choice, but predictable. You're trying not to get wounded and tire Palisar out. He backs out and parries the attack, but thanks to the inertia, you moved your dagger back. Now you can wait out for his next attack. Or try to press him, binding against his blade to disarm him. Your move is worthy of a master swordsman. You look for Palisar's dagger, tricking him in. With a quick wrist movement, you disarm him, leaving him only his sword and a shocked expression. You have to take advantage of this new situation to press him on. Should you try to disarm him of the sword as well? Or press him on, attacking him with both your weapons? You press him back with several feints, until you finally bind his steel with your blades, sending his sword flying out of his hand. Now your opponent has both blades aimed at his throat. He's at your mercy and must talk. Surprised by his fierce smile, you can't fathom why Palisar is so happy. But you don't even have the time to ask. He throws himself on your weapons, stabbing his throat to death. The answers you were looking for just vanished. You turn to your friends, seeing they defeated their foes as well. Now, you need to choose how to go on. After facing Palisar, you summoned the Resistance's generals and explained them the situation. Daragast is the new leader, and he's arranging the city's defenses. He assigned you a scouting mission with the Greystorms. Should you run into Leon as you head to Remegast, you'll have to try and stop him. If you can't, you should assess his forces. Send the troops back. After marching for a few days, the scouts warn you you're about to intercept Leon's army. It's immense. There are thousands of soldiers. Stopping it alone is impossible. But you have to try your best. You issue the commands, and the troops line up. You're commanding the Greystorms, but you didn't think you'd find this scenery before your eyes. You can't find Leon, who's probably behind the enemy lines, ready to jump in when necessary. Hell breaks loose. The two formations charge, turning the battlefield into a slaughterhouse. You fight fiercely. You continue hacking limbs and slashing heads as if it were natural to you. But it really isn't. The violence of all of it is gut-clenching. Death grazes you under the shape of a fire elemental. It's killing and maiming your comrades. You barely manage to get away. You have to retreat, but a terrible foe blocks your way, and you have to deal with it. The rider is now close enough for you to take down the animal. Wielding your bow, you aim at the creature. Now on foot, your adversary isn't giving up. He counters your attack. You can shoot another arrow or charge at him, despite the fact that he's seeking shelter behind the horse's corpse. You spur your ride. Sure, you'll trample the enemy, but your opponent dives behind the dead animal and you miss. Your eyes lock for a second, and you miss your chance to end him. Your enemy strikes at you again with his sword, unsaddling you. You both start rolling on the ground until you jump back up a few moments later. You unsheath your sword and start circling each other, analyzing your every movement. You can attack him again, or let him make the first move. You let him make the first move, and he doesn't keep you waiting. He starts pressing you with slashes and midline blows. You can barely breathe. You're forced to back away, struggling. You have to turn this fight around. Parry and counter, or dodge and counter? You deflect the enemy's blow and counter, slashing at him. But he blocks your attack. You jump back, glaring at him. Right then, the battle tramples both of you. You quickly jump on your Greystorm, calling the retreat. Now isn't the time to engage in a personal duel. You need to warn Satrapor. You lead the retreat to safety. There are only a few of you left, and the Greystorms have been halved. What shall you rely on now? Once back in Satrapor, you receive the appropriate care right away. But everyone knows now. Leon is close. The gates close behind you. Satrapor prepares for war. As the horns sound the alarm, you wake up startled. Quickly, you leave the tent, seeing the city is bustling with activity. Leon's troops have arrived. You have to take your post. You grab your bow and rush to the walls with your archery unit. Once up, you notice the army has already made camp. They probably won't attack until tomorrow. Later on, you try to calm your nerves with wineskin and fall asleep in your tent soon after. You have a light headache when the horns sound again at dawn, but you're ready for the battle. The enemy moved early. They're already attacking. It's time to start calling the shots. Should you order your men to shoot at the soldiers moving the siege engines? Or should you order them to aim at the ones farther back? Aim at the men moving the war engines! The slaughter begins. The action works well at first. You successfully slow down their advance, but the enemy arrows soon start covering their soldiers. Should you keep attacking the engines, or shift your target, aiming at the archers? Aim at the archers! Shifting your target now avoids many losses on your side, but the siege weapons keep advancing, taking lives. Even the foot soldiers arrive at the walls, armed with ladders. There are just too many to avoid the incursion. A huge earth elemental appears right below you in front of the city gate. It's colossal, and it keeps flurrying the gate with blows. His punches shake the whole wall. Should you aim at the creature, or keep aiming at the enemy soldiers? You focus all your strength on the elemental. The volley of arrows rains down on the creature, but it's useless. Its skin is an impenetrable stone armor, and the giant easily crushes the gate. Now, it's too late to try and stop the enemy's advance, and a commander even made it up the walls. You look for an arrow to take him down, but your quiver is all out. Dropping your bow, you unsheathe your sword and dagger. The reckoning has come. An elf appears before you. He's wielding a sword and a dagger. You drop your bow and unsheath the same weapons. Eyes locked on each other, you start circling to assess any weakness. He looks like a skilled fighter. You'll have to be careful.
Could I have your name before I kill you?
He asks caustically, trying to get on your nerves. And Corin, and the braggart is?
And Kalimo.
Suddenly, a memory flashes before your eyes. It's the elf you faced a few days ago. You killed his Greystorm. Now, you have the chance to avenge the slaughter he and Leon brought about. You exchange several quick blows, trying to assess each other's skills. Being of about the same strength and abilities, a single blow could decide the outcome of the duel. Both of you take a few steps back. Will you assume a defensive stance to counter his attack? Or would you rather strike first? You let Ankalimo strike first. The elf carries out a flurry of blows trying to wear you out. He comes at you fiercely, targeting your foreleg and thrusting with his dagger. Should you parry the reverse slash with your sword, deflecting the dagger's thrust with your dagger? Or do the exact opposite? Pirouetting, you parry and immediately counter the blow to strain him. You laugh and try to taunt him to get on his nerves. Maybe you succeeded in your attempt, but it doesn't really matter. The elf parries your following strike and you counter once more. Ankalimo tries to cut once again, following with a thrust which sends him forward. You intercept his blade with yours, but you have to decide what you'll do next. Fast. You could exploit his current stance, moving to the side and tripping him to send him to the ground face down. Or you could break his guard with several quick wrist movements, punching him in the face with your dagger-wielding hand. With two quick movements, you break his guard, and Kalimo has both arms wide open. Using your dagger's hilt, you violently punch his nose. Blood sprays everywhere. The elf loses his balance and falls to the ground. He rolls away, but drops his sword. Stumbling, he stands back up. He won't give up this easily. He attacks yet again, trying to enter within your range to kill you. He's bold and determined. How will you tackle his assault? A dynamic fighting style is always the best choice. Your enemy, expecting you'd simply parry the blow, is overwhelmed. Now, he's open to attacks at the mercy of your dagger, which springs against his throat, slitting it. The elf creature drops dead to the ground in a pool of blood. You've won the duel, but now you have to get back to the battle. You've defeated your opponent. As you head to Satrapor's main square, a tall, black-haired figure bars your way. He's wielding a sword and stares straight into your eyes.
Who are you?
He asks, with a thin, threatening voice. And Corin, and you must be Leon Munar.
Yes, my dear. Are you sure you want to face me all by yourself?
On guard, you reply instantly. You start exchanging quick, pressing blows. Leon seems to be much more tired than you are. You can use this to your advantage to strain him, or exhaust him, backing away, letting him chase you. You let him approach you and struggle a bit to parry his fast blows. You didn't expect a wizard could be such a good swordsman. However, you do just fine and tire him much more than you would have done attacking him yourself. Leon is wheezing, but he still manages to carry out several flawless strikes, which you struggle to keep up with. Leon slashes and then tries a foin against you. Will you parry the blow, lifting your sword over your head, rotating the blade downwards to deflect the second attack? Or will you parry sideways, thrusting up the sword to avoid his foin? It's the only viable option to avoid the nearly flawless assault. Leon is almost shocked by the speed at which you parry his strike and deflect the foin. Now, you have to counter his attack. You can disarm him, binding your sword to his, or you could punch him with the hilt of your weapon to stun him. A sudden movement and you unbind your blade from his, punching him straight in the face. Leon stumbles backwards, dropping his sword. It's your chance and you don't waste it. You pounce forward and gut him, thrusting with your blade. Your opponent collapses to the ground in a pool of blood and guts. You chop off his head and run to the soldiers to show his corpse. In doing so, you raise the troops' morale and terrorize the enemy. After the battle, you heard Daragast had been killed. Sadness grips your heart firmly, as it does all his friends and all your comrades. Even people who'd just heard talk of him is torn by his death. You're among the first people to pay him an homage at the solemn funeral organized by Satrapor's sovereign. Carcass, Ball, and Ulist all cry. Overcome, you share their grief. The legend of the Kaelson is dead. Now, many people look to you as the new heroine. Whether you like it or not, your name will echo for many years to come.